Hello, beautifuls, and welcome to another episode of The Gifted Table. Thank you so much for taking your seat. And as you can see, I am going to be here today meeting with a wonderful group today of the MOSAIC Legacy. Let's learn about what is MOSAIC and how can it benefit you, impact your life, and why you need to join MOSAIC. So get ready. It's going to be an awesome time with women who are leading with purpose, perseverance, position, and passion right here at the Gifted Table. And welcome, everyone. Thank you so much again for pulling up your seat and pull it up close. We're about to have an amazing conversation with these group of powerful leaders. And I'm just going to start by saying you have officially entered the MOSAIC Legacy. So let's start off with introductions, all right? Let's start over to my left. Who are you and what do you do?
All right. My name is Dr. Judy D. I retired as an educator for 42 years. And I'm currently the founder of MOSAIC.
I'm Dr. Talisa Sullivan, and I'm a co-founder of MOSAIC Legacy, and I am in education still as we speak. And I've been in education for a little over 20 years and looking forward to about 20-something more.
My name is Karina Zermino. I am the founder of a program that honors children who have overcome difficult life challenges, working with 8 different school districts in Riverside County.
I am Adriana Kingston. I have been in education for over 20 years, both in the school system and in nonprofit.
My name is Leah Belote. I'm a public school teacher. I've been teaching for going into my 18th year, all at the middle school level, and I serve as the MOSAIC secretary.
This is awesome. And so MOSAIC, we're going to just jump right into it now. What was your inspiration? What is the purpose of starting MOSAIC? And tell people what MOSAIC really means.
The concept came from wanting to be able to support women. And that has always been my goal, to support people to reach their highest potential. And when we thought about the word MOSAIC, the M stands for multicultural. Because I belong to a lot of groups, but most groups I belong to usually focus on one ethnicity. And I wanted a group that represented humanity. And so that's why the M stands for multicultural. And then the O stands for optimistic. Because I believe you have to have a positive mindset in whatever you do, and that's for the O. And then the S is for support. Many women who have reached out to me over time have asked me to support them in a mentoring way. So that's why we wanted to have S, so that we can be very specific that we're here to support. And then the A is for aspiring. We wanted to encourage women who had aspirations, whether it was in their home, whether it was on their jobs, in their churches, or in whatever setting. We want them to be always saying, what can I do to improve myself? And then the I is for inspiring. You have to inspire others. So we wanted to commit to being an inspiration. And the C is for called. And that part is our faith, because we believe that everyone has a purpose in life. And the C is for called. We are called to do and to serve. So that's where MOSAIC came from.
Well, and you are one of my mentors. And so thank you for letting me be a part of this journey with you. And again, I'm so excited to have all of you here representing the board. I know we have some members missing today, but thank you for taking out your time and literally taking a seat here at the Gifted Table. And everything that you just said, you've poured into women for many, many years, inside and outside of education. So ladies, let's just say, what are your roles on the board of MOSAIC? So let's start over here. You said you were the secretary.
I'm the secretary.
You kind of gave it away.
Note taken. For myself, being in education, working with the students, we want to help them find their own leadership qualities. We'll be using the curriculum that comes out of the third option, written by Miles McPherson, and really helping them build into their own communities. This is how we can live in a multicultural world while also helping each other get to the places in life where we want to be.
So I play the role of director of student clubs. So like what Leah was saying, is really building a program that can be replicated across schools for both educators and children to understand how they too can impact their communities, building on the curriculum of Miles McPherson with the third option, really focusing in and teaching them to embrace the similarities that they have. You know, we're always focused on differences, but how are we similar as human beings? Dr. White spoke earlier about, you know, representing humanity. And so how do we teach our children to do that? Because they're the ones that'll take it into the future.
Awesome, awesome. So it's not just about women, we're including the next generation.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, madam, you are the founder and all that. So what is your role? What do you do?
And my role is to work very closely with Dr. Sullivan. The reason why I say that is because I am a visionary and I always see things. But Dr. Sullivan has been right there from the very beginning to be the person to put things in order. I'm a technology learner. So she helps me with technology. She'll talk more about her role. But at the end of the day, I want people to be very intentional about racial healing and race relationships. I want us to love one another. I want us to model what it looks like to not just be next to someone when we're at work, but who do you invite to your birthday parties? Who do you invite to your children's birthday parties? And when you're in the store, who do you speak to? Do you only speak to people who look like you? So we want to make sure that we are projecting unity, and then the whole word MOSAIC, when you put it together, not our acronyms, but MOSAIC means to come together, different colors, different races, and that is what we want to represent.
Dr. White mentioned that she's a technology learner, so she doesn't really know that I don't know that much about technology. I just know a little bit more than she does.
So she's a learner, you're a novice.
That's it. I'm actually the vice president, and so I do work very closely with Dr. White. Dr. White has the vision, and I make it go. And so, so whenever she comes up with, I'd love to see this happen, all I have to do is just make sure that I get the vision right. And then I go and I work with others to ensure that all the moving parts go together. And then at the end of the day, no matter what the behind the scenes things look like, the end result is hopefully phenomenal and her vision coming into life. And so I also work as the director of programs. And so one of the things that I, am going to be doing is making sure that I'm overseeing all the programs to ensure that whatever support, more of a support role. So it's not about overseeing like, oh, let me see what you're doing. Let me see what you're doing. And you, it's more of how can I support? How can I serve? How can I help whatever your goals are to get your program up and going? How can I support that? So that's my role.
I would say my role is to be supportive to the board and to really, I envision MOSAIC to be in every school, in every large company throughout, starting here in Riverside County. But really, I want to be a role model in the community to other women and to the children that I serve here in my community, and really teach no boundaries, no separation with our students and with our community, and really wanting to implement growing up and not seeing race, not seeing religion, not seeing the differences in what students are growing up in schools or at home.
When you think about it, we are more similar in so many ways, in our experiences, in some of our upbringings, economic-wise. We have so many relationships, so many similarities that we just don't take the time to just stop, listen, and to begin to network, right? And take time to just see people, like really see them, instead of just looking at them, because there is a difference, right? So who are the women that MOSAIC you most want to impact with this organization?
As an organization, we want women to have a voice and to know that they have impact.
Have they been silent?
Some women will step back thinking that they're not capable of doing the work, or having the impact. And so we're here to tell them, yes, you can make an impact. You do have what it takes. You're a strong woman. You're intelligent. And we need everybody to help propagate our vision, Dr. White's vision of seeing people as a part of humanity, one team.
Now, is it just women in education, or does this cross professions?
It definitely crosses. Yeah.
Good.
We started with education only because people who were approaching me from the beginning were educators. But one of our first meetings, I told people, I want you to bring somebody that does not look like you at the meeting. And we had close to 100 women. And sometimes they were people in the medical field, law enforcement, and other retirees. And we want women who want to be servant leaders.
Yes.
That's the women that we want.
Yes.
Because we plan to make an impact, so we have to impact them in order to make an impact.
Listen, and I was at that first meeting, and it was amazing.
Yes.
And it was just beautiful, just seeing all the different shades and shapes and sizes, and it was just beautiful. So again, thank you for the vision, and just thank you all for being part of that.
I think one of the great events that we have too is the vision board. And that's where women get to physically put on paper or in visual, this is what I want to accomplish in my lifetime. And through that event, you get to network with all that variety of different women, as was just mentioned, and find, oh, well, she's been there, she's done that, she can walk me through that step. Myself being an experienced teacher, I love mentoring first-year teachers, new teachers, because it can be so overwhelming. And they don't understand the ins and the outs. And if we can help guide that process for them, it just makes them that much more successful.
I agree. And you said something that I want to ask you all. She said something about women not really having their voice, letting their voices be heard, or even maybe being timid. Have any of you experienced that, where you didn't have your voice to be heard because you were uncertain or unsure about your own skill sets, your technical skills, or anything like that?
Mostly because of what society has done to women in general, and specifically women of color too, that we second guess ourselves because someone else sees us as inferior or incapable of moving to the next level, or needing support, which all of us need support, just the level of support or the type of support that, we might need. People often shy away from that for whatever the purposes are. Maybe it's a stereotype or whatever that the case may be. But yes, so we often second guess ourselves and end up in a situation where we allow for people to, and I'm saying we allow because I think we need to take a certain responsibility for the things that we accomplish and that we don't accomplish. It's not always on society. It's definitely society is a part of that. But I think that we also have to take ownership for some of the things that we trap ourselves into. Sometimes we trap ourselves into, like, well, no, I can't because of this or that. We can put our best foot forward and continue to move forward, and positive self-talk. So I definitely wanted to go back into what women are we wanting to support. And that is women who are aspiring, as the A in MOSAIC is, aspiring to move to the next level, earn a doctorate. We want to support those women. We want to support women who are earning their teaching credential or whatever the case may be. We want to provide the level of support that oftentimes society does not provide us. We want to lend our shoulders. We want to help lift up, and we want to continuously to fix those crowns that we know without having to say that we fixed them.
I love it. Now, Dr. White, you are known as the history maker and stereotype breaker. How did this recognition come about?
It's really funny. The first person that coined that, and it's gone pretty much viral in our community.
Oh, yes, it has.
And it's because I was the first in many positions. So I'm just going to talk quickly about 5 of them. My first leadership position actually was in high school when I became the ASB president, and there had not been any females. And so at that time, I went to I remember going to the advisor, and I'm like, is there a law that says we can't be president of the ASB? And he said, no. He said, but Judy, you have straight A's. You'll be the best secretary ever. And so, but I want to be president. And so I ran, and then I was the first one in San Bernardino City Unified School District to be an ASB president. Once somebody has it, then it opens the door for others. On cabinet for San Bernardino City, they had been in existence for over 120 years, and they had never had a cabinet member that was African American.
I'm sorry, did you say an entire century?
Yes, entire century.
I'm just making sure.
Okay.
I heard it and y'all heard that too.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
And then at Azusa Pacific, I was in the first cohort to get the doctorate. So they were new and opening up their doctoral program in the 90s. And I was the first African American to graduate with a doctorate from Azusa Pacific. And then Moreno Valley had never had an African American superintendent. And then, of course, Riverside County Office of Education, another century group who had never had a female or an African American. So, but the coined phrase actually came before RCLE, but RCLE kind of sealed it. But I always say, because the newspaper interviewed me for RCOE, you're going to be the first woman, you're going to be the first person of color. I don't want to be known as that. I want to be known as the person that made a difference. I want to be known by the impact. And I told them that even in that particular interview. And so I thank God that every position from high school to county office, there's something that I did that was different that left a legacy. And it's only by the grace of God.
And you continue to make impact. You continue to inspire. You continue to do everything that MOSAIC stands for. And again, that's why you're here at the gifted table, because you're sharing your gifts. You continue to share your gifts with others unselfishly. There are so many people who are so thankful and grateful for what you do.
But do you remember this?
Yes, tell me.
A person can be a leader, but if nobody's followed, they're really not a leader.
How about that?
Yeah,
That's just
we
a
gotta
title.
Remember that.
That's
Yeah,
just
it's
a
just a
title.
title. I have been blessed to have people
Yes.
at every juncture, even from high school to the county, who have actually come and said, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
And so I feel grateful. And then here today, we're here with MOSAIC. I could not do it by myself.
Yeah.
And we do have two members that are, one's up north right now, Ben Tran, and then also Dr. Lizette Magana, who have been there from the beginning, that are strong women who have helped us to carry MOSAIC along.
Yes, and I really wish they would have been here.
Yes.
But ladies, thank you. We are so grateful for your gifts that you share and that you bring to this board. So ladies, I know that there are 4 core values of MOSAIC. What are they, and why are those essential for MOSAIC?
Faith is one of our core values. And as we talked about that a little bit earlier, when Dr. White mentioned being called, you know, we're called by God. And so faith is one of our core values. Before all of our meetings, before any of our events, we're praying. We're praying intermittently. We're praying as we're closing out. We're making sure that, you know, we are praying for our MOSAIC members on a constant basis. We even have connections, you know, with other groups that we have worked in tandem with as we had our prayer breakfast, you know, so we are about serving God. Also, diversity is another one of them. And we talked about MOSAIC being multicultural and making sure that we have diverse individuals that are serving. You know, the women that you see on the board are not just because they're of different ethnicities and different races. It's because these women show up to events. These women are a part of the thread that MOSAIC is about. And so we are, we don't have people just sitting here because they look different. You know, we have people sitting here because they're servant leaders. We just had our scholarship banquet where we were able to award, I believe, 11 students $1,000 each. And so we are about scholarship. We are about making sure that our students have what they need in order to move forward. And not only did we allow for our students to come in and receive this amazing gift from the community, but we wanted to make sure that it wasn't bound to, well, we can only make sure that this check goes to the school and that's it. You can't send it anywhere else, because we are aware that our students have different needs. And so we wanted to put that out there so that they are able to utilize it for if they needed transportation or if they needed computers or whatever it was that they needed in order to move to that next level. And the servant leadership. And I talked about the women that are here and the reason why we are all a part of the board, and not just the board, but the women that are actually in our membership. Dr. Harris,
Hey now.
as well, that we are servant leaders. And I'll say this, and I'm going to point you out, because when we were working on our scholarship and our educator recognition, we needed some support and some help. And Dr. Harris was like, well, I'll help. And it's just like above and beyond. And so that servant leadership just showing up. And I'm not sure how much of a skill that you or me or either one of us have in it, but we put it together and it worked out. So this is who we are, and that's our core. And that's what we do, right? Yes.
And we're all leaders here. We're all women in leadership. What has been some challenges for you as a woman in leadership? And anyone speak about that?
I will speak on this. For me, my challenges and what I see throughout women in leadership is we can be emotional. And I think for me, that is an asset. And I lead with my heart. And I think every woman here on this board, we lead with our heart. And that has been a challenge in even today, the day that we live in, that a lot of people in upper management see that as a weakness. But I don't, and I know every woman here does not. We are leaders, we lead with our heart, and we're very proud of that.
Absolutely. stand proud in our tears because that's a cleansing. Sometimes it's a cleansing.
I had an educator say once to me, if you feel it in your heart, let it out with your tears. And that's something I do with my programs.
It's a catch-22. What she said is real. That's real world. But in the world that we live in, they misinterpret. They being powers that be, sometimes men, they misinterpret it. So for me, I've had to hide it, but I've tried to show it in a different way. I don't think very many people have seen me cry unless it was at a funeral of a child, because I always felt like I had to be strong. I had to be strong, and I had to show these, just the whole body language of strength. But the power of being in position, if a woman does show her emotion, if you're in position, you protect her. You won't allow other people to try to dismiss her or to label her as weak, because you're in a position of power, and you will dismiss that if they try to use that against them. So that's why we still have to be in position. So it depends on the level of where you are in an organization, how many tears you can shed, and that's unfortunate, really. Right. But and that's why I need more and more leaders that are women, because we understand it's that heart that really makes a difference. There is something about the compassion and that actually helps with leadership.
I consider myself the leader in my classroom because I'm leading children, guiding them on the right path. The beauty of myself teaching history is we can always bring in current day events, what's happening in society. We recently talked about boys having to always push down their emotions, not show that they're upset, not cry in front of others. And we discussed the importance of why you should be able to talk about your feelings, be open, be honest. And I had a boy just this year write me a letter saying, I'm so glad that you talked about that in class, because I've been told my entire life it's not okay to cry. And he felt like someone validated his feelings and his emotions.
See, and when our boys hear man up, right? As if being vulnerable doesn't allow you, being transparent doesn't allow you to show that you are growing into your manhood. You need to flip that and say, up the man, hold him up, instead of putting him down.
Find the support that
yes,
you need.
so glad that you did that. And you probably don't know how many other young men that you have touched just by that statement of it's okay.
All right, the Gifted Table family, you have just witnessed part 1 of the Mosaic. Weren't you inspired by the message? Well, next week we will continue talking to this amazing board of Mosaic and learn a little bit more about their mission and what leadership means to them. Until next time, stay grounded, innovative, fierce, transparent every day. In other words, stay gifted. See you next time.